So to get started, we're going to start on the library homepage, zsr.wfu.edu. And we're going to go down to the middle box down here under Get Help and click on See Our Research Guides. And we're going to navigate to the guide that's specific to your class. So under Subject Guides, click on History, and then find the guide for your class here. And we're starting here because it has links to all the newspaper databases we're going to take a look at. For this particular essay topic, we're going to take a look at two databases, newspaper databases, the Japan Times Archive and ProQuest Central. So let's dive into the Japan Times Archive first. So this is an archive of the first English language newspaper in Japan. It goes all the way back to 1897 and goes up to almost present day, goes up to about 2017 for now, and they'll keep adding new issues each year. So this one searches a little bit differently than you may be used to. So we're going to be looking for, and you can see I've done several searches before, we're going to be putting together a search like this, and I'll show you how I put that together. So we're going to be using the term comfort women, because that's a very specific term to this essay question. And we want to look for either the term comfort women, which I've put in quotations to make sure it keeps those two words together as a phrase, or the term comfort woman, depending on if they're talking about about these women as singular or plural. And we're going to use these tools over here on the left to do our sort of Boolean, our and our or. So it looks a little bit different, but it's doing the same thing that all of our other databases do. And we could also go here and change our publication date if we're looking for articles from a particular time period. But I'm just going to go down here and hit search. So taking a look at our results, we can see that sometimes even really good search terms don't give us exactly what we want. I'm going to zoom in here, and you can see this article is actually about comforting women in childbirth, which is not what we are interested in. But I can go over on the left side and take a look at the different issues. So it's showing me the publication date of that particular issue, what page of the issue it appeared on. And I can choose, let's take a look at this one from July of 1990. So this is part of an article that's talking about a symposium that will be focused on the Japanese Imperial Army's forced prostitution of Koreans, but also gives me some additional keywords. So we can see the word comfort women is brought up here, but also that term forced prostitution could be another word that we could use to do some searches. And this could also give us some information on time frames and some of the issues that are being discussed as part of this symposium. You can continue to scroll through. You can see there was obviously quite a big article, I guess, on August 8th issue about this. Articles in the 90s, and a lot of the talks were coming up then. You can scroll through here, you can see there's 6,000 different results. We can move through these results and take a look at a number of articles. I'm going to step back and change up our search a little bit. So in addition to these terms, maybe I also want to add some other keywords. So keep in mind that research is very much trial and error. These are really simple terms that give us 6,000 results. Maybe I want to find something else. Maybe I want to find a particular discussion about the relationship between the comfort women and the soldiers. So I'm going to use my buttons over here, put in the word soldier, and hit search. So again, I can go and look through some of my results. I'm going to choose this last article here just to take a look at. This is a discussion of what they're calling wartime brothels and some of the questions of responsibility. And we can even see if we zoom in, there's a picture here of a serviceman drinking with a comfort woman in a Chinese bar in the late 1930s. So all of these articles, even just pulling up 2 or 3, can give us some more information about what was happening, how are they being described by the Japanese papers, what are some of the issues being discussed, and can give us additional keywords that we can use as we are looking for information. So this is a great one again for the Japanese perspective. I'm going to step back over to the research guide, and we're going to take a look at another database that will give us perspective from Koreans as well as from the US. So we're going to look at ProQuest Central. So this is a big database. It doesn't just have newspapers. It has a lot of other kinds of sources. So we're going to focus on how we can narrow down our search to specifically what we want. So we're going to start by looking at for newspapers from Korea. So I'm going to do pretty much the same search that we just did. Comfort women or comfort woman, again, using my quotation marks to keep those phrases together. I spell out the word or here. It doesn't have the little buttons. And I could also, again, add in a term like soldier or any other terms that I want. I'm going to leave it as is for now. And I'm going to do a search over here on the right. So taking a look at our results, we have over 23,000. That's quite a few. So how can we begin to narrow this down? So one of the things we know we want are newspapers. So I'm going to go over on the left side and limit our search to newspapers. Takes it down to about 11,000. That's a little bit better. But we're also really interested right now in the perspective from Korea. So over on the left where it has publication title, you can see the Korea Times is actually the top one that comes up. So I'm going to choose the Korea Times so I only get articles from that specific newspaper. And you see it takes us down to about 1,400. So there are quite a few articles in here from that newspaper. So there are articles about a comfort woman dying. Also see some terminology here. Former comfort women sex slaves. That's another term that there's been some debate over which term to use. So putting in that as an alternate term could also give you some additional articles. Some articles about talks between Japan and Korea on the comfort woman issue. There are apparently some comfort woman statues that were put on a bus in Japan, so some debate around that. There were some reconciliations, some apologies, protest, activism. So all of these are giving you insight, again, into potentially the experience of the comfort women and the way they're being discussed in the Korean media as opposed to the Japanese media. One of the things we can, again, do is go up here and modify our search a little bit. So if I want to change this, hit modify. And add in some other words. So let's say compensation or apology or reconciliation, if that's an interest of yours and how Japan is trying to make up for what they did to the Korean women during World War II. So by putting or between these, of course, I give it an option. It looks for either the term compensation or the term apology or the term reconciliation. And it still has to have either comfort women or comfort woman in that same article. And it didn't keep our narrower, so I have to go back over here again and click on newspapers and Korea Times. So fewer results, about half the number of results that we got before. Maybe a few of the same articles, but also some different ones as well. So again, about apologies, rallies, tough issues, closure, activism, all those kinds of things. You can go take a look at it. So let's actually open up one of these and take a look at it. So sometimes these will just have the full text of the article here. So instead of giving us the image as we saw in the Japan Times, it's just giving us the text of the article. But it's all the text, even if it doesn't have pictures and things like that. So Korea Times articles are all full text. You'll be able to pull them up. And this database does pretty much search the full text of each of those articles. So that's one way to use this database to find articles from Korea and from the Korean perspective. So I'm going to go back and click on advanced search again. We're going to clear this out a little bit. Actually, we're going to keep this in here, but we're going to do another search to try to get the US perspective. So I'm going to keep this same search in, go back and hit search. But this time, instead of pulling from Korean newspapers, I'm going to go to newspapers again. And if I want to get US perspectives, I can go here and go to publication title and pull in maybe some big US newspapers. For example, the New York Times. For European perspective, the Times is going to be the Times of London, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal. You can go in and choose some others, another Wall Street Journal there. The difference between the Wall Street Journal online and then the print version, LA Times. If you want to pull that one in too. So I'm just going to select those few and hit apply. So again, about 480 results, and these are coming from US-based newspapers. So as perhaps a little bit more of a lengthy article about the long dispute and the debate over compensation. Korean comfort woman demanding apology. That's in 2015. The resolution of that dispute, the supposed resolution, agreements, so on and so forth. Some of these will have the actual image of the page that it appeared on. If you see full text PDF, sometimes some of these articles will actually have where it appeared on the page. Again, often it is just the image from the article itself, but you're getting all the important information from the article here. And again, as you're looking, look for other terms that are being used that you haven't brought into your search to potentially find other articles. So again, that phrase sex slaves comes up here. We didn't put in the word soldier like we did before. We could certainly have done that. Soldier or army, something along those lines. And as you find articles, feel free to email them to yourself. Make sure you don't grab this link from the browser bar. That's a temporary link that's generated when you do your search. So if you pull up an article like this, there are options here to email it to yourself. You can also save it as a PDF, print it out. Make sure you keep track of where you found your information. Stepping back over to our research guide, I just want to point out, if you have any difficulty or have any questions about how to do this research, please feel free to email me over on the right side. That little button here will link you directly to my email, which is also listed here. Please reach out and ask if you have any questions. And otherwise, good luck.